In November of 2023, the Swell Pod took a 10-day journey across 5 states, traveling 3,580 miles with one challenge in mind.
And that challenge was to interview 100 pleasantly rebellious humans to uncover deep truths about what it takes to create something that has never existed before, challenge the status quo, maybe even change the world.
This is the Kiln Road Trip, created and produced by the Swell Pod.
In partnership with Kiln, Moterra Camper Vans, and sponsored by Taurus.
I'm Spencer McKeown.
And I'm Josh Taylor, and together we're the co-hosts of the Swell Pod and your guides on the Kiln Road Trip. Follow along on the journey.
Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, follow the Swell Pod on social media, and subscribe to your YouTube channel at, you guessed it, the Swell Pod.
This is interview 13 of the Kiln Road Trip, and today we're at Kiln, Salt Lake City, talking with Claire Ginn. Claire is the CEO of Moonjax. Moonjax provides peace of mind to both babies and parents with its range of functional and patented baby products, all thoughtfully designed by a mom. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed today's episode.
So my name is Claire. I am a mother and a wife and a kind of a serial entrepreneur. Yeah. Was born and raised in Colorado, moved to Salt Lake City in 2013. So I've been here about a decade now, and it's finally starting to grow on me. It was a bit of adjustment getting here and finding our people, I guess, but we're here and we love it now. 2 young kids, a 5 and a 7-year-old. I'm here. I work out of Kiln. I love it, and I love creating, designing. Mm-hmm. That's kind of my jam is, coming up with new things or putting pieces together to create or design something new. It's not always innovative, but I like creatives and design and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so one of our themes has been around creating things from nothing.
Yes.
And of course, there's a debate about whether there is nothing out there. There's always
That's
something
true.
you can...
It's creating something that's never existed.
Exactly.
Right.
It's not about creating something from
from
nothing.
Yes.
I've always been saying that.
You have been.
Hang on.
I have never corrected you, though.
I've been
I just
saying
let
that
it go.
for years, Josh.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thanks for being...
But what I actually really... So I got obsessed. I was a filmmaker. Mm-hmm. I got obsessed with montage, just the origins of it in film, and the idea of, essentially one of the original experiments was essentially a photo of a man or a video of a man, and then it would show like a bowl of soup, and it would show a woman in a coffin, I think it was what it was, or a woman in a dress. Mm-hmm. And it was those two things coming together that ultimately created something new, a feeling new from the audience. And I became obsessed with that idea, and taking that outside of film. And so what you were saying really resonates with me. I want to learn a lot more, I guess, about that concept. But that's a good example of two things that have existed and created something entirely new.
For sure.
Right. But
So, I am certainly interested in what led you to what you do now. But tell us what you do now and what it's all about.
So it actually kind of touches on what you were just saying. So I had a sort of a design background before I started my current company, which is called Moonjax. I did pottery. So I had a wheel in my basement and I would just play with clay all day long. I actually had a business and sold to, brick and mortars around the country, my pottery. And then when I got pregnant, had to stop doing that because the clay that I was using was toxic and full of heavy metals and minerals and whatever stuff they don't want you touching when you're pregnant. So I stopped doing that, but I still had this itch to create something. Knew I wanted to work for myself and just kind of was okay, I want to create something that doesn't exist. And I want it to be easy to make and affordable for lots of people. So spent some time really kind of trying to figure out what that is. And that stuff doesn't just show up out of thin air, right? You don't just get these ideas to create something that's never existed before. It takes an effort to put in. So I had my daughter and she was 3 months old and she just wanted to put everything in her mouth. So I went to every store I could and I bought every teether that I could find. And I was so frustrated because she was like gagging on all of them. She'd put them in her mouth and it would make her gag, or she'd get frustrated by them and start crying. So I was like, man, these, like, where's the actual teether? You know, where's the thing that's like designed for teething, not just a toy, like a cute toy for her to chew on. So I drew out a shape that had never existed. And I had it 3D printed. And then I gave her a sample that was made out of 3D material. And she put it in her mouth and it worked. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think I might have figured something out. So I had the design patented and started selling it, and it sold. And so that's how it evolved, is it came from me seeing that there was like a lack in the market. There was also some really popular teethers at the time that, like, as I was designing this thing, a news article came out about one of like the most popular baby teethers carrying mold. So that was like, all of these things were motivation to try to make it the best version that I possibly could. So, but yeah, I mean, I did technically create something that had never existed, because the shape of it is so bizarre. It's not necessarily cute. It's like a functional product, right? And that in that industry, it just didn't exist before.
Yeah, everything was cute.
Exactly. Cute or cheesy or, So, yeah.
Some inspiration there then. I mean, how did you just had a gut feel that...
Well, I knew, so I watched the way she was trying to use the other teethers, and she has no sense of direction. You know, they're babies, they're awkward, they can't figure anything out. So everything's frustrating for them. And I would watch her. She didn't know up from down or left from right. So I was like, there just can't be that stuff. Like, it has to be usable from any direction. Yeah. You know, no matter how she holds it, should be able to get it into her mouth. So yeah, I drew something out. It was like, I know it needs to have like something for her to hold. And if it just had the same thing on both ends, it doesn't matter what way she picks it up from, because no matter what, it's all the right direction, you know? So yeah, I just drew out I actually took a picture of a Jax, like the Jax from the game Jax. And I took two and I photoshopped them together, and I attached a bar in between. So then when I was naming it, I was like, well, it looks like a Jax. Or a jack, I guess technically would be the right word. And then I, wanted it to have this baby feel. So I added some moons as texture on some of the ends, and there you have Moonjax.
There we go. Wow.
There you have it. Yeah.
How long were you prototyping for?
Not that long.
It sounded very quick, that first one.
So she was 3 months old when I started the process, when I was like, okay, I think I might know what I'm going to do. And then I did the 3D printing pretty quickly. I think it took me probably 9 months to get the actual teether, because I found an awesome prototype company in Minnesota, actually, and they were quick to help me. I think I went to like through 2 or 3 3D print variations before I found the exact right shape. But yeah, it was a pretty quick process from like concept to like having an actual product.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
What were, I mean, it sounds like it was just like it worked and then it sold. Were there any challenges kind of once you got to the point where you had, this is the thing, right? And it was like, well, now we have to market it and sell it and get it out to the world. And...
Yeah. So yes. I don't know if I should talk about the biggest challenge right now, or if that will come up later, but yes, there were several. There's one major one that's affecting me currently. But, started 6 years ago, and I think a couple of the biggest challenges or things when I look back at it now, I think first I wish I had asked for help sooner, didn't think I could do it all. I wish I had connected with somebody who really understood. Like, I have this design background, so that was what I kind of was good at. Mm-hmm. The rest of it, you know, having a business is hard work, right? There's all these steps that like nobody really talks about. Mm-hmm. And I wish I had just been more thorough in finding like really good people to ask advice from, just about like financial questions or growth questions. Yeah, I wish I had just done that sooner.
And you do that, and you've learned from that.
Yes, I've learned.
Right.
And so now moving forward, I know to like, as I continue to do this, whether it's with this project or future projects, like really get the right people involved from day one. Take your time doing that. You know, find people that really are good at what they enjoy doing and get the support, because it's hard. It's hard. And I was a stay-at-home mom. I had 2 young kids back to back. I was working out, you know, our entire living room turned into my fulfillment center. We had boxes of baby teethers like everywhere. And it was just rough, you know, it was rough. And I think if I had from day one found somebody that I could lean on a little bit and be like, okay, help me make some decisions here, because like I'm doing it all on my own and it's too much. So yeah, I would have probably asked for support earlier.
How did it go? Sorry, how did you go to market with the product?
So it started, I built an e-commerce website through Shopify. And that was kind of it. And then I reached out to a local news company here in Salt Lake. This woman, I can't remember her name now, it was so long ago, but I think I emailed her or messaged her and said like, oh, I think she was pregnant. And I knew she had like a baby recently. So I messaged her and said like, hey, could I send you a sample of this? I think you'd really like it. And she featured it on the local news station, and like that sold out.
No way.
Sold out. It was awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then I did that with a couple of other people. I had a connection with a girl who was really big on Instagram at the time, and she posted a couple things and it just sold out. And then I was like, oh no, like what do I do now? I don't have inventory. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I started there. And then I just, over the years, it grew from there. So I mostly did my e-commerce Shopify site. I dabbled on Amazon for a little bit. I found this awesome girl that I work with that I hired, who helps with all the onboarding for retail brands. So she helped me get into certain stores like Target and Walmart and these places. And yeah, and then it's been a bumpy road. You know, it's like it started out like this, and then it went like this, like really high sales, great revenue. And then in the last like 12 months, it's just dipped, and most of my sales now are on Amazon, just because I don't, like, you guys are familiar with products, but ad spend to run digital, to run paid ads right now is so expensive. And I just don't have like, so I started with the one teether, the one shape, and over the last year and a half, I've now introduced more products. So I have swaddle blankets and this really awesome nursing pillow that just came out, which I think is like the coolest thing ever. It's a big, huge crescent moon shaped nursing pillow or body pillow or whatever. But yeah, it's just been up and down the whole time. And it's been hard and frustrating. But
go.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you've created the first wave, right?
Yeah.
Well, more than one wave, but the big wave, and trying to get to that next one and keeping that momentum going and the movement going.
Yep.
You have a pretty good following, probably.
I do. Like, I mean, the majority of my sales come through like organic search. Yeah. So I guess what's been frustrating for me is it's a good product. It's a good brand. Like, I believe in it. I've put a lot of energy into making a quality product that, you know, people can trust. And then just marketing right now is just brutal.
So hard.
We've talked to a couple different people, not on this road trip, but in previous episodes of our podcast.
Yeah.
That have echoed very similar things in the e-commerce industry. And
I was just sitting out there waiting and scrolling through Instagram, and I just saw this local business, like children's store business, like begging for help. Like they were literally like, we can't keep up with marketing our brand because it's just so expensive. So that's been discouraging, I think, because I'm like, man, there's no reason it shouldn't do well.
Yeah.
But if you can't afford to run ads. Anyway, so my solution to that.
I know you have a solution.
Yes, was to introduce higher value products like the pillow and the swaddle blanket. Because the teether, I now have it in 3 different variants, but it's just a lower price point. Yeah. So the average order value just isn't very high. Yeah. So my solution was to introduce bigger value products. So those just started coming out a couple weeks ago. So I'm hoping that the ship isn't sinking.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
So we have one question both each, and then we're finished. Time's flown by.
This
is,
that was insane.
Very impressed by
Moonjax.
This is a great name as well.
I love the name.
I mean, maybe you've already mentioned it, but we do want to know about this biggest challenge.
And
how people can help, or
I don't know if anybody can help.
Well, and then your last question after that.
Yeah. So I got ripped off by another like female entrepreneur.
Copycat.
Well, they made the same thing.
Pretty much. Yep. Pretty much stole my exact shape. I mean, it's a weird shape. So like it didn't exist before. And I walked into a store and I saw my teether, but it wasn't my teether hanging on the shelf. And it's this woman, she owns a baby product line, and it was.
You have a patent.
And I have a patent.
So
but
it's the headache of the...
Well, she changed it enough. So this is the advice I would say. Like, I don't know... Looking back on it, I don't know if getting a design patent was worth it, because they changed it just enough that I don't think it would hold up. But that was like a punch to the gut.
Yeah, it was.
Because it didn't exist before. The shape didn't exist before. It's not like it wasn't a unicorn. It wasn't a star. It was this very weird shape. And then there it was under somebody else's name.
Is it just like suns instead of moons on the...
No, she flattened parts of it. So it's, in my opinion, the shape is not nearly as good as mine, because you can't flatten parts of it and think the baby can get it in their teeth as easily. But yeah, they changed it just enough that there's nothing that I can do. And that's just been so frustrating for me. Especially because it was like another like woman business owner. So anyway, I don't want to spend too much time, because at this point I'm just like, you know what? It is what it is.
It's a big world, and you're passionate, and you have
and I think mine quality wise, and it's still the better one. So that's what I'm going with. I'm just like, I'm just going to keep moving forward. Hers is the cheesy knockoff version, and I'll just keep staying tried and true and pushing through it. But it was a punch to the gut.
Approximately ago did you find out?
I found out in April. So it's been this like ongoing game of how hard do I go to try to just get
you've talked to her and all those things.
No, she's done a pretty thorough job of ignoring it. Anyway, it's you know, what can you do?
Well, it's great what you've done though, and I think keep cracking on, and that's what I would say. Not that you need our advice. No, I like it. But it keeps you going. I mean, there's 2 things come to my mind. First of all, what you learned the first time around, like asking for help. Obviously, there are incredible people out there. I'm sure you've already talked to a lot of people around, IP and all those things. But I mean, I know people that are incredible in that area.
Right.
So, ask for help, pull in favors. What else can I do? But just build an incredible brand and incredible experience and incredible community that are already following, level of followers, and then buy her out. Yeah,
exactly. Right. That's the dream.
Well, I'm sure that's
what happened. No. I'm just saying.
Or the other way around. Be like, you wanted that shape so bad.
Yeah.
Before we get into the rest of the episode, we want to thank the partners and sponsors who made the Kiln Road Trip possible. The Kiln Road Trip is brought to you by Kiln. Kiln is a boutique co-working and flex office community with 13 locations in 6 states across the West, dedicated to providing innovative workspaces that empower your team to thrive. Whether you're a solo visionary or an enterprise-level team of up to 100, Kiln transcends being merely a place to work. It's a hub for learning and connecting with like-minded professionals that will make you and your team love where you work.
And if you haven't stepped foot inside a kiln yet, you really need to. On this road trip, we visited every single location, and trust us when we say once you see these beautifully designed spaces, meet the talented team, and connect with fellow members, you won't want to work anywhere else.
Locations include Utah, Colorado, Idaho, Oregon, California, and Arizona. And they're growing too, with multiple locations set to open in 2024.
Yeah, so be sure to check out the kiln locations nearest you by booking a tour at Kiln.com and answer Swell in the question, how did you hear about us? Once you complete the tour, you'll be entered into a competition where you could win a 1-year membership, their club membership at Kiln.
Yep, you heard that. That's Kiln.com, book a tour, and be sure to mention Swell in the question, how did you hear about us?
The Kiln Road Trip is also brought to you by Moterra Campervans, a luxury campervan rental company for iconic road trips. Their top-of-the-line vans are available at 7 locations located near America's best outdoor adventure destinations. They have consistently earned the highest customer ratings in the industry, making Moterra Campervans your gateway to adventure without sacrificing on comfort or service.
That's true, and initially we wanted to take this journey in a 1960s VW bus, but thankfully we found Moterra instead. With 3 van options, we took the Pop Top Classic, which sleeps 4 and is best for those who want to maximize floor space and storage. This was critical for us because it needed to sleep the entire crew, we needed space to edit, and we were traveling with large amounts of equipment, luggage, and other goodies that we picked up along the way.
And this van took us through all 3,580 miles of the trip. Super comfortable and sweet to drive.
And actually, Moterra offers fully planned itineraries if you'd rather leave the planning to someone else.
Visit gomoterra.com/swell. That's gomoterra.com/swell.
This episode is also brought to you by Taurus. Taurus is leading the charge in home energy storage. Taurus makes it easy to achieve energy independence and a greener tomorrow. The Taurus Station provides everything you need to generate clean power, efficiently store electricity, and easily manage your energy use.
And installing a Taurus Station offers plenty of benefits, including save money on your electricity bill,
also ensure energy security with backup power during outages,
reduce carbon emissions with renewables.
You can also automate EV charging and HVAC systems with 100% renewables.
And enjoy unrivaled system monitoring and support.
If you like the sound of those benefits, get a quote to build your Taurus station in less than 30 seconds. Super easy at taurus.co. That's TORUS.co. Now, let's get back to the episode.
Does this happen a lot, though, with a lot of manufacturing happening over in China and a lot of drop shipping?
Yes, and I think that's what was so discouraging about it is I expected this. I expected it. That's why I had it patented. Right? Yeah. I expected it to happen from overseas. Like I was like, this is gonna happen eventually. So I need to make a decision about how I want this to go. Do I wanna go head first?
Right.
And like try to sell this thing like crazy and then exit as quickly as I can, or do I want to create this brand and whatever? And in hindsight, maybe going really fast, selling a really cheap version of this would have been better because you're going to get ripped off at some point, right? Like when it's this kind of thing, a manufactured small silicone product. So I'm like, should I have just not cared so much?
Well, that's an interesting question.
Yeah.
Which I just thought of because like you developed this in tandem with your newborn child.
It's a good story,
How
strong
can you pull yourself out of that? You know, like that. You're so close to the
you
idea.
Want the best for them, right? So like that's what I went for. I was like, I want the best for my kid, and she probably does, and he probably does, and so I'm gonna go for that. And but I'm like, man, I don't know. Now looking back,
go from here, go forward.
Exactly. That's all I can do.
This is fantastic. Thank you. The time has flown by. I know we've got another guest waiting for us out there.
Okay. It was really good. Thank you so
for
much.
Spending time with us. We would love to take a selfie at the end of this.
A little selfie and a Polaroid.
All right. And then we'll try to get the t-shirt. Hopefully I've got one that's the right size. Otherwise it's outside. So we'll figure it out.
Awesome.
And you work, where you work from?
I work right downstairs here.
There we go. You love Kiln?
We love Kiln.
Makes a big difference to you.
It's the best. Yeah, I spent many years working from my living room, so this is like an upgrade. For sure.
For that connection.
Exactly.
Well, right?
Yeah, the community. Yeah, just even like seeing other people's faces.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Claire, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks.
Yeah, really great to meet you.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Kiln Road Trip. Be sure to follow along on the rest of the journey, and you can do that in two ways. One, subscribe to the podcast, whether you're listening on Apple, Spotify, or maybe even watching on YouTube, and follow along on all of our social media platforms, whether you're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or TikTok, at the Swell Pod. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next episode.